Hey, hi everybody. Thanks for joining. We're just giving one more minute for participants to join, and then we can get started. I think we can get started now. So, thank you everybody for joining the 31st ODCA and myself Subha. I am working in Thoughtworks since past 6 to 7 months, and I have close to 6 years of experience in testing. My domain, I worked in different domains, primarily insurance, banking, and currently working in retail domain. And I was working in functional testing and mostly automation testing, both the front end and back end. So I'm from Chennai, so that's about it. And yeah, over to you, Arun.
Hey, yeah, thanks, Subho. Yeah, this is Arun from Chennai, and I have been with Thoughtworks for past 2.5 years, and my overall experience is close to 5.5 years. And yeah, I am working as a QA in Thoughtworks, and my technical expertise is functional and automation testing, and my more interest toward is DevOps. And yeah, that's a quick short intro about me. And yeah, thanks for joining this event. I know it's a mid of week and it's a busy day. Thanks for joining this 31st vodka event. And people who are is joining very first time, right? I just give a short brief about what is vodka. So vodka is a short form. In a full form is something value oriented discussion on quality analysis. It is a forum which is created by Thoughtworks, and people can come and learn something. So this is a primary motto for this podcast. So it's like people from software testing industry come together and share the knowledge and do a networking and collaboration. So this is a primary motto of the podcast. So there are many other events that is organizing by ThoughtWorks similar to Woodfall. There is a Git Night, Converge, and WAPC program. So among this one, we have a Woodka also for quality analyst. So, so, yeah, that's all about it. Subha, can you give a more info about the same?
Sure. Thank you for that intro about ODCA. So yeah, before getting started to the session, I would also like to, inform something about how ODCA used to be and right now how we are, taking it forward. So before COVID thing, of course, we used to have a physical ODCA where even people from other companies can register themselves and come to our office and get a real-time experience of how ThoughtWorks as a company tries a lot and gives a lot of information to the QA community. Not only QA community, we do have dev community, we have BA community, we have data analyst community, but so that people can come and understand how we all know how much of contribution ThoughtWorks is making towards the IT with and being socially responsible. And so the ODCA or any other event per se would give some experience of a thought worker, like how the way their life was, the way they work in the office. But unfortunately, after the COVID, we have been trying to have it all in the virtual mode. And earlier it used to be a full day or off day ceremony where mostly during the weekends, where people from the QA committee can come together, and probably from 9 to 12 or sometimes even longer, they all come together and pick a specific topic and try to do some it's more hands-on practice something like that. But gradually, since we are all adapting to this remote work, we have also started doing vodka remotely. And initially we did have the weekend program, like it was conducted between 9 to 12 on Saturdays. But of course we know that you people are busy, and on Saturdays it might not be easy for everybody to make it. They might have a lot of personal things to do. So finally we decided that we'll come up with something called this podcast shorts, where it would be probably 1 to max 1.5 hours, and that would be conducted during the weekday itself. So which is the reason why the previous vodka and this vodka we are trying to conduct it during the weekdays. And this vodka is further shorter, like it has only 1 hour, because we used to have 2 to 3 topics sometimes in a 3 hour 4 hours long session. But now we are just focusing on one particular topic and try to get the most out of it. So that's about the vodka shots. And not just this, as I was saying, people from other company other than Thoughtworks can also be a speaker. So there are multiple social media platforms for Thoughtworks, like Instagram, YouTube. We have Meetup, and we have a specific website just for Vodka, Thoughtworks Chennai Vodka. We will share all these links in the Zoom chat. Arun, can you just share those links? So if at all you are interested to be a speaker, maybe in the upcoming events, please follow up and be active on our social media platforms, and especially Meetup, where we also send out the registration for speaker. So if at all you want to be speaker for one of our podcasts or any other event, please have an eye and follow us, so that we can, you can also get to be a speaker. And not just that, you people, if you please stick till the end. After the session, we do have exciting news for all of you. So yeah, that's about it. And uh, ultimately our motto is to grow together, the QA community, to share the knowledge. Whatever we know, we are trying to share it, and whatever you people know, you can also come and share with us, so that we can all develop and we can strengthen our QA community. And yeah, as you all know, today our speaker Varuna is here. So I would like to just give a brief info about her. So Varuna has 12 years of experience, and she has worked with different domains, starting from travel, retail, e-commerce, and banking, telecom, trading, and many more. And she even has experience in the Spotify and the Safe frameworks. And not only that, she is an international conference speaker, and she has given her talks in various renowned global conferences, and she's been sharing her knowledge with the wider communities, and she's been conducting workshops and trying to coach other peers. I remember when I joined Thoughtworks, she was there in one of my immersion and boot camps as well. So glad to have Varuna here, and right now she's working in Singapore. So she's working with Singapore Thoughtworks, and she's in that time zone. So thank you for making your time and coming here, Varuna. Over to you.
No worries. Thanks, Shubha. Hello, everyone. Good evening. So yeah, let's quickly get started. And I'm going to share my screen. Do let me know when you can see my screen. We'll get started.
Yeah,
I hope. Okay, cool. So today, thanks Shubha for the intro. And feel free to ping me over a LinkedIn and Twitter. My handles are there in the slide, so I'll just go through. So today we are going to talk about the test strategy, right? How do you get your test strategy being set? And I'm going to be mostly advocating on the holistic approach of test strategy and how it can align with your business requirements. Quick thing about myself, I think it's all been covered by Shubha here. If you feel free to drop me on a Twitter or just on a GitHub accounts, right? So before we take a deep dive into a session, let's quickly scan through the agenda. Why we are here and why I'm talking about specifically advocating on the test strategy, some context background, and luckily it's a coincidence that you all have a live example of this afternoon or this evening until like today. And why test strategy? What is the need? Like why I'm doing my testing? Why do I need a strategy for it? What's the evaluation of test strategy? Uh, which stage in the development cycle should I put it the test strategy, or is it like once I had put it and then just forget and forgive and then pull it out whenever your product manager or your client stays, or if you have any production incident? What are the different test strategy dimensions? So this will again cover on based on need of your product. Once you collate all the dimensions, we'll come up with a framework of test strategy and the key takeaways. So quick context and background. So we have been in one of our client engagement where it was asked for us to assess the quality of the system and figure it out like how good the quality of the system is. And when we started doing our assessment and when we started speaking to the people on the ground, taking a pulse and a feel of product owners, also the stakeholders, your SEO, your marketing, these were some of the things which we got it. So it was defects, 32% of the defects when we have scanned their defect backlog were open in production. So open in the production is more like escaped from the lower stages of the development. And that's when the question comes on the safety net. And also there was an increase of 30% in the defect backlog since mid 2018. That was one of the things. Close to 1, 2, 3, 4 production defects across a per year discovered across a whole product. So product, if I'm mentioning about the product, if you want to draw parallels, consider it, suppose your Amazon.com and you have a different teams there all together, like someone is taking care of payments, someone is taking care of an order, someone is taking care of refunds. And these were some numbers across the defect. This was something very shocking to us, like high severity incidents, like your S1 and S2, when your production is either one of the key features are not working or your production is down, and then your call center supports, people are just getting called. So these were the symptoms. What was the impact of this? Impact was on business. Drop of a customer experience, then declining customers, like the word of mouth of customers, hey, this product is quite good, why don't you give it a try? That was not happening altogether. Increasing also the minutes of unavailability, as we have seen, if 182 high severity incidents and during the peak hours when the customer uses that product. Also the lost opportunity for a business in the market altogether. And this was felt across the organization that this is something right, which is not right. But what is the cause and why is it happening around, even though people are being overloaded, but not overloaded, if you have to say in that manner, that people are spending a lot of time, they are doing a lot of stuff, but still these are the aspects. So overall, the sentiment on the ground was people were unhappy, QAs were not happy across the board, product owners were getting different things from the marketing, why these products are not working, or so one of the incident was the copyright was not updated, and that would have caused a big legal issue. With this, even this morning, I ran into one of the production issue where things were just deployed to production without some approval processes, and or I would say some untested feature was being deployed to production. How we could have saved it? If we would have been a test strategy being placed. I'll come to that, why test strategy being in place. For now, we can just think of if you have something of your production sanity checklist or production sanity strategy, like what will you do once you deploy in production? And this deployment happened on sometime last week, and we came to know through a customer this morning. So that is going on in the background. I still have to follow up with those emails, but nevertheless, this was like, I felt like for this session, this is the incident which I got this morning. So with clients when we spoke and also on the people on ground, it was more like a push and pray stage. Like you deploy to production and you just pray for it that you are not going to get into any incidents. But that was not the case. It was always happening. So we had a casual discussions over the coffee and water cooler discussion with people around. And these were the three things which we came across. No/less focus on CFRs. So CFRs, for those of you who are not aware of it, is cross-functional requirement. So it was more like just deploy this feature without thinking of CFRs. Like CFRs were not part of your feature, not part of your epic and the stories. Unrealistic timeline. So this is something which each role agreed that our timelines are very unrealistic. We just want a heavy feature richness. And the reason for that is more like we want more feature, but more features with more bugs, more defects, with a compromised quality. So it was more like you're not investing in quality from the day one of your product. That is what it came across a common theme on the push and pray stage, and that just you push to deployment and then just pray that, hey, today I should not get any weekend incidents, or my weekends will go there. Now, once we got the sentiment across, what to do with it, and we have to onboard from the product, from the stakeholders to the business, to your marketing, to your tech team. And then that's when we had a combined workshop. So it was not only like a tech versus business or marketing versus tech. And end of the workshop, luckily, or you would say that, yeah, everyone felt the pain and figured it out that, hey, we need to prioritize the cross-functional requirements. We need to look into our performance. We need to look into our security. We need to look into the accessibility of the system. Again, rebalancing the quality of a product against a feature richness. So we agreed upon it's good to have a less feature with a good quality instead of having just 10 different features with 100 odd defects in production. Strong tech champions. This was something which came across like a different squad and different teams were doing on a different tech stack, and sometimes node versions were not in sync, and that causes the issue. Your automation, your frameworks were not in sync. And that point of time, it was a strong need of a volunteer of a strong tech champions who can drive that journey and mention that, hey, we need those starter kits. We need this way of framework to develop. We need a reporting mechanism or automated reporting mechanism. I'm not going to spend time counting my test scenarios and test cases. Now, we know that what we want to do it, but how does it fits back in test strategy, and how can test strategy fits in here? And that's where the test strategy comes in. So before we take a deep dive, just one thing, test strategy is not a document. It is a practice which you intend to practice and practice over in your overall development life cycle. So think about it like it's not a document, just you left out a document, you put the document in the start of your project when someone asked you, and then you are pulling it out like end of the stage, or sometimes some production incident happened, which happened with us this morning. Now, why test strategy? This is the very important thing to know here. So if you could see the illustration here on my slides here, like there is a conversation here. But was this being expected outcome? No, right? Like wife is expecting a carton of milk, but what she got is that if they have an avocado skins, right? What is this? It's 2 cross 3 is 2 to 2. It's a wrong kind of a right. So a strategy is needed for us to be aligned as a team, as a product owner, as a business, as a stakeholder, as a person who is putting money on that product, or even as a user. So why test strategy? A shared understanding of products. So we all can speak the same language. What tech is speaking, what business is speaking, what marketing is focused on. And our goal should be the one. It should not be like as a tech, I just want to improve my framework, but there are no business impact to it. So whenever you are going to play your tech debts or tech improvement cards, have that with buying with a business, that what will have it, what impact it will have on a business. Many times we have seen that tech debts and tech cards get deprioritized in iteration, like because we don't have a valid reasons, or we are not able to convince well enough to business what impact this will give to the business. If I'm improving the performance, if I'm improving the uh, time of my APIs, what will it happen? And why should I invest in accessibility? Why should I invest in SEO? Why would I need it? So you have to go back and tie it with some KPIs. KPI is the key performance indicator, which we are going to come in the later slides. But have a common plan of an action between a tech and a business. And also it reduces the risk, right? It's not happening across like 2 cross 3 is 6 or 2 cross 3 is 3 times 2. So that risk of interpretation, risk of assumption goes away when you have your test strategy. And it's a common place, like everyone can come back and have a look into it. What is my strategy? Where should I look into it? What is my, at what stage I'm doing what, and at what level I'm doing it, and who are the key owners, who is responsible, who's the key person to it. And it's not a tech versus business versus marketing. It's identifying a solution as a team. As a one team, where do we want to get this product? Not a dev versus a QA or a BA versus a QA. That's why the strategy is important. Any questions so far? Please put on chat and we can take it later towards the end. Or if you have anything very pressing, we can take it now also. All good? Okay, I'll consider it as all good and I'll move on next. Evolution of test strategy.
So I just wanted to let everybody know there is a forum for Q&A. So if they can just add it, whatever question they have, they can add it. We can address it by the end of the session or maybe in the middle.
Sure. Thanks, Shubha. So evolution of test strategy or a quality strategy, I would say. When do you think that test strategy comes into a picture in your, just a quick thing on the chat, in your development process? So it starts from the very starting stage of your project, from very starting stage of your proposal, when you are ideating, when you have some ideas that I want to build this product, I want to start running my baking shop. Then you do formalize that this is what my idea is. And at that point of time, during an inception, you formalize your test strategy. During your MVP, that is where you act on your strategy and you figure it out, what is working towards, what is not working on, what should I do, which stage I should do a testing, what is my test bed, what is my test data, where are my test environments. And then you keep evolving on it based on your feedbacks from the client and other aspects. Test strategy dimension. So this is something like will vary from a product to product. What is your application under a test? Who are the intended target audience or who will be using this application, whether I'm building it for like 5-year-old kid or whether it is for 80-year-old people. What are your set of guidelines? What are your different testing types, your test bed, your test environment, your test data? What would be your configuration? Where would you configure it? Any feature toggles? What are your strategy for removing those toggles? So it all comes into your process. This was mostly like what all the different devices are you covering during your testing. This is mostly for the mobile-based product, like if you're developing any mobile apps. And also again, the reportings and metrics, like what is your KPIs? How would you measure your success? What are you reporting? What is your risk mitigation plan? Like suppose 2 people are going on some unplanned leave, how would you mitigate it? And how would you put that in your risk register? What are your assumptions if your third-party APIs are not ready? And then also, what is your path to production? Like, it's not only just being in development cycle, it's also a path to production and also a post-production. Post-production, what is your sanity standard checklist? And how would you achieve it? This will be your end-to-end testing strategy framework. Like, you will have your quality metrics with your performance, resiliency, scalability. What are your engineering practices, maturity? What are your agile practices, continuous delivery, continuous deployment to production, rapid releases? What are your governance processes, QA practices? Nevertheless, this is also very important in infrastructure maturity in your test strategy. Like, what is your cloud infrastructure? If you are to run your test in some of the cloud platforms, how would it happen? Like in AWS device farm or a source labs. So this will be your end-to-end test strategy framework. Now, if I think about shaping it together, so for that client where we have gone for an assessment, we started looking into testing topography, and this is something which you can also give it a try in your product or assessment whenever you are doing for any new product. Also, if you are getting there, just think of in that line that what are the different testing types for your product and mark it in a different bucket. This is because you can't fix everything at one shot and you need to prioritize it. And this is where our prioritization exercise comes in here. There will be something which is already done. There is something which we need to must implement, like based on the need of a business or based on the user base or based on the customer base. So that is one thing like must implement it comes. And there is something nice to have, like I should have a good reporting mechanism, or for some team it could be a must have, or for some team it is mostly a nice to have thing to have it, because there are some other bleeding issues which they have to figure it out and fix it before they go into fixing on the reporting. So what we have also done the same part here, and we started with our decision metrics, and we figured it out multiple types of our testing here. And then this is what it was coming across. Already implemented needs some spikes. Spike is like you need to figure it out. How do you do it? Or in the current system, what are the dependencies and all? And then there was a category of must implement. So for us, cross-functional testing was like a must-have for that product. Now, since we have identified this as must-have, how would we start implementing it? And that point of time, we need to start thinking about our strategy approach. I need to do a performance testing in a cross-functional testing. What is my goal? What I needed? And what is my agreed upon deliverables? At the end of 3 months, if I'm performing a performance testing, what is something which I'll get out of it? The next one is, which layer? Where are you going to execute it? What is your frequency? Who is going to own it? Whether it is a manual or reports are automated, or will it go from your emails, or how frequent it will be, whether the reports will be at a different level, whether it's a detailed level of reporting to a tech and a high level reporting to a business. Test environment, test data. Like, do you need a production like a C data environment? Any approvals for those test account creation, any infrastructure support? And what is your definition of done? I have implemented a login as an endpoint, and now I have added a performance test for it. Does it satisfy your definition of done? Or is it that you need to do your definition of done is you should be able to log in concurrently at 1 lakh users at 9 a.m. in the morning? Is that your definition of done? And it will vary from product to product, team to team, and release to release. And that's where it comes to align with all the parties, all the stakeholders, like what is our definition of done if I'm doing something, so that there are no surprises at the end and during your demos and showcases. KPIs, like how would you measure it? What are your rates, and do you have enough skill for it? So let's go through testing in delivery cycle. Do we want to do it manually or automated? So performance, okay, I talked about performance on APIs. What about performance from the front end? How are you going to measure it? How are you going to integrate with your existing functional test? Do you have that, or do you need to write it? Where in delivery cycle? It is like each layer, or is it something like you want to put it at last, or where, or what is your bandwidth? What is your strategy? Who is owning the test? So again, your RACI matrix of responsible, accountable, who is going to own it? And what would be your frequency of these test runs? Like on every commit of your build, or it's more like after once in a day or once in a week? This is again TDD, if you, and this is test-driven development. I just want to bring this up here is like mostly because test-driven development for, I've seen for many folks, the conception is mostly like it is writing a unit test, which is not, so it is beyond, development is beyond coding, like it bakes into your processes, it bakes into your testing cycle. So it's not only that you start writing a failing test and you make it pass. That is not only the TBD. It is a process. It's not writing a unit test. And then this is mostly your build pipelines. How will it look at? And like if you see here, unit test, after deployment, integration, your end-to-end test, and then what are your different levels of testing, and where would you do it? This is something, and then you can promote it to your production or your staging. Testing as a QA, you get, it starts from the day one. Like you have to embed it from the day one itself. It's nothing, you have to do it upfront and all throughout. It's nothing that you have to do it after 3 weeks or after 4 weeks. So it is, you have to shift left your testing strategy. It's not like in your Jira lane, it is that exploring is the last column. So you will do that. So, and then each stage, it gets involved with a different participants. Why different participants? So participant to have again a shared understanding. So it bakes in from the very starting stage of the development process. And this is just some of the test parameters which you could think of, like whenever you are doing your testing in one of your project, like what all you are using, where are your, what is something which you want to do. And this is where it is very important to align with business, that what you are doing, what set of tools you are using, what set of frameworks you are using, what level you are investing in getting these things up and running. So testing is not only a unit test that people say that we have a 90% coverage at the unit, so 90% coverage, we have a 90% coverage, and that's where it's a full stop. What layer that 90% coverage is there? So make it very clear to your business, like, yes, unit test, I have a 90% coverage, but for end-to-end system tests, there are still flows which are not being automated, and what values or what business value you will get if you will get it automated. So we know that we have to do a performance testing here, and the very first step what we have to think about our test data. And how could I generate a test data which is reusable also and a broad like a test data? That is something very important whenever you are doing your performance testing. Next step is to set up your performance suite, write and run test, various workflows, your visualization, your results, your reporting, and your output will be your visualized test results running in a pipeline on each commit also. Next, what we have done there was mostly like tracing and figuring out the root cause. So sometimes we figured it out that there was a bottleneck in some of the APIs, and that was due to our decision of an architecture. And that was very trickier at that point of time, as we were already live in production and we were doing these things while we identified the issue. Now you see the cost. You are already live in the production and you need to now change your whatever your architecture decision. Like you don't have your Redis 2 stores to make the APIs being more performant. And if this would have been done in the earlier in the cycle without the very first slide, if you remember, no/less focus of CFRs, if we could have focused there, we would have not been doing this at last. So you are doing the things at last instead of doing it upfront. So your cost is, so if you tell business and if you tell the numbers, your cost is not reduced. You just pushed in a rush for the feature richness, but you're doing it back to backing the business again and getting the confidence from the client, getting that thing again from a marketing. Then marketing has to put again certain level of your advertisements that, hey, we are back with this new banners and again. So why not do the right thing at the very first? That is the key thing which you have to many a times as a consultant, you have to convince your clients, you have to convince your product, you have to convince your team and the business. And then we have to, how do you want to integrate into a pipelines? How would it runs and what all will happen? Like wherever your architecture fitness is there to run it, to measure it. Right now I'm running my perf test, suppose on my dev instance for 100 users or for any instance for that matter. But what if I'll just start running my test on for lakh users or 2K users? Will it my system support? And that's where your all things bakes in your infra. How good is your infra? What is your infra support there? This is mostly a defect matrix which you should have it for your strategy so that you know that which level you and where do you mark your defect is, and based on the prioritization, where do you put that in your backlog and when do you want to fix it on which set of an iteration. That's the reason it is important. First of all, we should, as much as we should prevent the defects instead of logging it. But if you are in a system of you are going into a product where you see that these things are defects are already there in the system, you have to log it and then you have to figure it out, put your priority severity high, and then get it prioritized in your backlog with your product owners. And this is something your workflow and cycle, which you can discuss and decide with your product owners and your business, that what will happen if the defect is logged, if it is an already existing issues, do we want to fix it? Do you want to impact your iteration? So if you see here, this strategy is going back, it's seeding into your iteration also, it's seeding into your business, it's seeding into your infra. So it's not a single touch point, like it's going to touch each and every corner of your development. Test environment, test data. This is something like how many of you have seen the issue that, hey, this is a data issue, but actually that is a code issue which escaped in the lower environment because of test data. And that's where, how would you get a prod like the data? What is your test bed? What are your different combination of a hardware and a software which you want your test to be executed? Environment hub, always having a struggle to get a environment like, and what is the need of different environments for different testing type. That's also is something like you have to put a strong case for a business to invest in spinning out those environments. Like I need one for dev, I need one for QA, I need for my UAT, and then again, whatever is your staging and production environment. How are you going to configure your test to be run on specific environment at the runtime? What are these tools? Do you need are these an open source or license? Do you need an approvals? Because some of the clients and business have their restrictions to use very specific set of tools. And if you want to try it out something else, what is your approval process and how long does it take? That is also very important. By the time you get the approval, it might be like 6 months and 8 months, and you might not be there in the project altogether. Test data. This is the very critical and very important bit to understand how do we have a product like the test data. What to do if we want to backport the data from production? How are we going to mask it? Because those will be going to be a sensitive information of the data for the users. So these are the also very tricky. Or do you want to scale it? How would you run? How would you create your test data, and also if you want to clear the environment, if you want to run it your test in a very clear environment with no test data. So that test data itself is one topic altogether to talk about for like 30-45 minutes altogether. Hardware and software needs, very important. Just figure it out, like any VPN connection, what are your cloud service provider, is it approved, is it there in your executed vendor list of like AWS device farm you're using, or a browser stack, or what's for AWS, whatever you want to use it to run your test, or do you want your own device labs? Like sometimes you get your hardware and you want to run the test on your own actual device labs. So that is also very important stuff for when you are thinking about your test environment and testing. KPIs. So consider whatever was there previous was nothing to your business. Your business will ask you this. What will give you confidence of going live to production? Why should I invest in the strategy? How are you? So these would be the questions. How would you measure your attendance? How will it tie back to a business objectives? Like whatever you are doing, you're doing great, fine. You create a best framework in the word of your performance testing. But how is it going to impact my business? Whether I'll be able to log in, concurrent login user at 9 a.m. in the morning. Is it the need, or is it something else the need of business? That is also, as a consultant, that also comes when you just hear one like concurrent user login. And how would you measure your test coverage? Is it just measuring a test coverage at a unit level? Or how would you measure your scenarios? Like what will have been covered? And are your KPIs being smart? If I have to say smart, it is more like specific, measurable KPIs do you have? Can you measure your KPIs? And what would you want to measure? So the very first thing which as a QA I would like to measure is defect escapability. Number of defects leaked in production. Like why is my safety net not that strong that it is not getting figured it out, even though I have set up a best test data, I have a broad-like test data, broad-like environment. Why is it getting caught in production? This is something which I would like to measure. High reliability. Suppose you have a failure in the system. What is your mean time to resolve? What is your mean time between those failures? What are your failure rates? So these are some of your measures. Test automation coverage and failure rate. It's coverage of automation at different layer. Like never go with that statement of 90% coverage. 90% at which layer and what is your frequency? Again, what is your feedback time like? Are your tests running like whole night and then next day you are analyzing for 3 hours and by that time you have a different tested result? So think about that feedback. Are those feedback false positive? Is it just raising some false alarms, or is it actually there is an issue in your application? Again, the defect matrix is more like to prioritize it and for triaging for your specific epic analysis. So all these aspects goes into your test strategy. Rates, this is also the one of the aspects which comes in your test strategy. Is more like what is your risk register matrix? What would happen suppose you are not getting a sign off for one of your requirement from the product owner? Any assumptions you are making? So rates is mostly risk assumption issues and dependencies. Any issues you predicted, or any dependency do you have? Some example here, potential delay in go live if some set of testing is not performed. We are assuming that set of third parties APIs will be get deployed, or we will have some version of that on test environment. We don't have a right skill set. That is also one of the things which we have to address, and that was also there in our engagement when we have gone there for an assessment. And also dependency. So sometimes those dependencies are broad-like test data, sometimes within a team, or sometimes your third-party vendors dependency. Think about what skills is being needed. Do we have a right skill set? Again, are these skills being in some of the teams? How can we expand it across the team and get a best result? And also the motivated QAs, right? It's not like just doing your 9 to 6 and you're not motivated what you're doing. So we also sense that sentiment, and That's where like cross skill matrix is what something which we applied there in that engagement. Are there internal trainings or something, or are the people passionate enough to learn or to spend like 45 minutes or 1 hour apart from what they are doing to learn some new skills? What are the different skills to deep dive? Do we have those skills? Can we just do something within a team and ask people to take a deep dive? So we started doing this with a skill sign up, and how we managed here is like, so that people have their sense of ownership and commitment, what they want to do, what they want to learn it. And that's where your cross team skill sharing was started happening. And the team started building a self-organized people words. So it was nothing being asked. So if you don't ask people, just throw them in there, that, and people started driving their own learning journey, that hey, I want to explore security, why don't I get 1 hour working in that team, or I want to learn something on the SEOs or accessibility testing, let me spend some time there. And then it was a cross rotation within a team started happening. So at the end of like, I would say around 12 months or some 18 months, we have seen a change in the entire organization level. The thing what we got is the motivated QAs across that different squad. Before it was more like, this is my cart issue, this is not my, this is the issue of login, and this is the issue of address, this is not the issue from it. But afterwards, once you have your buying from each one, and your strategy is in placed for the product, so the sense of working for a product instead of sense of working for one squad and one team, that is something which we gain end of this engagement. With this, the test strategy framework, if you have to start doing it, 4 enablers and 3 horizon is something which you can get started with. H1 being stop the bleeding issues, like whatever is your production. H2 is improving a quality and build capabilities. And H3 is a building a foundation for long-term sustainable product. And this will go in your 4 of your enablers. And this is something which you could put as your recommendations. So something like implementing a CI/CD as a practice is something which is the priority one. I want to stop this. There is no CI/CD in practice. Setting a threshold for a test coverage, like my build pipeline will fail if I don't have a coverage of more than 90% or something. So that will also give me a picture like what feature our build pipelines are failing. And then the second level is mostly strengthening the bottom of the pyramid, surfacing the issues before production. How would you figure it out? It's more like a preventing or defense. And long term, optimizing for small and frequent release instead of that big bang release, and then just you push and pray. Test architecture, it's more like a starter kit, something to avoid duplicacy of framework across products. Running a test on every commit. This is something where your small low-hanging fruits, which you could just get it fixed and show the results to the business that what it happens. Investing in test automation backlog, hey, a lot of features would have not been automated. What it would be if I automated, is there an ROI of it, or there is no ROI of it, then how are we going to explore it, and what will be impact on each and every release? Again, the production, a defect in a system is always a miss of a test. If that is what your mantra is, then you should have a test for each of your production incident, whatever you have got it for last 1 month supposed to start with. And again, this is something good to have, that enabling the analytics and again to track the user behavior, so that you can feed that back in your backlog, like, hey, why my user is confused on some of the screens or not. This is mostly on the infrastructure. Around it's cloud readiness, how would you increase your monitoring, observability, logging, your database reliability, and others. Last but not least, this is something very important for each one of us to invest here, is in capabilities and culture. If you have a great culture and strong capable people, you can pull out any of the product and the project altogether. And also on that, transparent governance model. Who is doing what is their roles and responsibility? Have your roles and responsibilities session. What are your key metrics of your performance? How would you measure your performance? How would you measure your team health, whether the team is happy and working? With this, you can repeat the same exercise for all different types of testing in your product. Just discuss the strategy with your team. Just don't put the strategy and then whether your team is not alive. And agree upon your process, execution process, and your timelines. Demo your strategy to wider audience and also to receive a free early feedback. Have your frequent demos. That's all I had. I'm open to any questions. Thank you.
Hi everybody. So if you have any questions, can you please post it in the Q&A? And I think the chat is disabled for the participants. So yeah, we will answer it.
Yeah. People can raise hands also. We will enable the options to talk here.
Yeah, that's one way.
Okay, looks like no more questions. No questions. All clear, sorted.
Yes, so okay, there are some questions. Varuna, are you looking at it?
Yes, you will have a slide afterwards, definitely. That's a very good question, Abdul. If it is not a dedicated QA role, whosoever is playing the role, whosoever is working as a QA, and it is not that as a QA role only has to insist on the importance of test strategy. It can be anyone across whosoever is working on that, whosoever is looking for the quality of the product. They can just insist and the importance of the strategy, where it will help and where it will not, and what value it brings.
Any other questions?
You're welcome.
Thank you, Abdul. All right, looks like we are at the end of it. So we just need your help. We love feedback, so we are just going to quickly launch a poll, and we will also share a link in the chat. Please fill the feedback form so that it will help us to make it better in the next time. Okay, I'm going to launch the poll. You can, I hope you can see it in your screen. I've also shared a feedback form in the chat. Please take your time. It will probably take 20 seconds. So just fill in and give all your feedbacks. We welcome both negative and positive feedbacks, and we will work towards it. Okay, looks like 75% of the participants have completed it. Can the rest also please give some feedback on the poll as well as the feedback form? Two percent. Okay, while the poll is on, I just want to thank everybody for sticking till the end, and hope you learned something new through today's podcast session. And as I said, there is something exciting news, and it's regarding the OTCA. We do have another OTCA coming in the October, and Thoughtworks India. It's a Thoughtworks India level OTCA, and this time it's going to be a physical event. So after a long gap, I think this will be the first physical OTCA, and it will be conducted this year at this quarter at Bangalore. So our plan is to have it each quarter in different location, and based on the poll this year, it's Bangalore. So due to some COVID restrictions, we are not able to make it for the non-thought workers, but definitely we are working on it in the upcoming cycles. We might try to take the non-thought workers also to come and attend it in the person, but nevertheless you can definitely join it virtually and you can get the most out of it. And the thought workers, not only you have, it's not that you have to just go to Bangalore to attend it. We will be all the thought workers from all the location, they can come to the office and we will be there to help you out. And the event would be physical, but the speaker or whoever is there will be from their home location or whichever location, that's whichever office that's near to them. So looking forward, and very shortly our team would be sending out emails for the speaker registration. So if somebody is interested to give any talk, you can enroll yourself. So we will see, and we will get back to you. And for the participant registrations and everything, we will drop all the emails. So keep a watch on all our social media platforms, and more importantly our meetup and our Thoughtworks website. And yeah, we can all catch up very soon with a pretty interesting topic, I guess. Thank you so much for sticking till the end.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, we are on time. Arun?
Yeah, I think someone raising a hand.
Right. I think it's question. Varuna? Okay, thank you, Abdul. And Harish has a question.
Yeah.
Okay, Harish, if you're still around, so it depends, I would say, like focusing on learning UI frameworks is important, but also need to focus on the integration layer. Like if you go back with your test pyramid strategy. So both has its own importance at a different layer. So you can't leave without a frame UI or end-to-end user journeys and personas, but it is not something where you will cover all your test scenarios. So you will move it to the lower level at the integration level for your APIs. Does that answer your question, Harish? Cool. Thank you.
Thanks, Harish. And also we have recorded this session, so we will also upload it in our YouTube forum, OTCA forum. I think we have already shared the link. You can subscribe to our channel, and definitely you can not only this, there are multiple OTCA sessions recorded video over there, and I'm sure you will find new and interesting topics there. You can just learn and share. That's all then. Please fill the feedback form, the link that I shared. that would help us.
Yeah, definitely.
That's all then. Thank you, folks. We are
Thanks.
over 2
Thanks,
minutes.
everyone. Bye.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.